webinar, Is Your Plan Good Enough? My name is Jeff Rigsby, and I'm the President and CEO of CB Resource, formerly known as Community Bank Ventures. So those of you who have signed in and said, who's this CB Resource? It is Community Bank Ventures. We are migrating to a new brand, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. I do want to take this opportunity to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. In our invitation, we said the session will run approximately 15 to 20 minutes, and we are committed to keep that schedule. So let's go ahead and get started. Just from an overview standpoint, I'll take a quick minute and just, insert CB Resource here for a minute to get everybody familiar with the new brand. But let's do that now. Just so you know, CB Resource is basically the culmination of Community Bank Ventures migration to a broader and expanded service offering to our community bank clients. And with that expansion of new products and services, we felt it was important to more clearly define our brand and align it with what our intentions are. In a nutshell, CB Resource Inc. is a national firm that provides bank performance information, networking, and advisory services exclusively to small to mid-sized banks throughout the United States. To drive bank performance, we hope you and your boards look to us for actionable information, do-it-yourself tools, and peer-to-peer networking, which supports your ability to make better business decisions and align resources to maximize shareholder value as well as customer value. Now, just before we get started, I do want to talk a little bit about getting the most out of the webinar. We do have bankers representing over 25 states with us this morning, so you are muted down. Unfortunately, we had everybody talk and it gets a little chaotic. We do have instant messaging capabilities you'll see on the right side of your screen. And though because of the time, we will be talking relatively quickly through the materials, feel free to post any questions. I have associates here that will feed me those questions in real time, and we'll respond to those during the presentation. If they're a little lengthy, we do have a Q&A session set up at the very end. Okay, somebody asked me to speak up, so I am going to adjust my microphone. And if you hear me a little more clearly, let us know. Thank you for that notice. Anyway, as far as the content for our session, we'll be talking about the challenges that we pointed out in our invitation. We're going to talk about our do-it-yourself tools and how they support the planning effort. We're going to talk about how the plan comes together, and we're going to move on to the Q&A session from there. So let's talk about the challenges. Putting together a comprehensive and effective plan is no small task, and in many ways the challenges depend on who you're talking to. From our perspective, depending on where you sit, the requirements of a good plan are a little different. When you think of a chief executive officer, in many cases they want that plan to ensure that it's showing a clear path to improving the bank, that it drives value for the shareholders, that it satisfies the board and the regulators' requirements, and hopefully that it's easy to communicate to the staff and certainly measurable. From our regulators' perspective, they have a little different take. They're as much interested in your process and the evidence of your work as they are in terms of it being measurable and accountable. And certainly their primary driver is that it continues to support a safe and sound operating environment. Board members, they serve the shareholder. They want to make sure that plan clearly defines who you are and where you're going. They want emphasis placed on sustainable shareholder value. They want it to be trackable, accountable. And, all too often when we develop plans, whatever form these plans might take, it requires resources. And boards like to know that you've got the resources necessary to execute the plan. And certainly, lastly, they want to make sure they can integrate it into their board meetings and sessions to track its performance. And lastly, probably as important as any, it's our organization. How do we take a plan that can clearly define to our employees where we're going? You want it to be easy to understand. Certainly for managers, we want it to be an effective tool. We want our employees to understand the roles and responsibilities, and in many cases, they just want to know what's in it for them. So, excuse me. So as far as DIY tools themselves, why DIY tools? And it's funny, many of us might go to IKEA or we might go to Home Depot, And the point is we have a desired outcome that we're looking for, and we're willing to do some of the work as long as all of the components are there to enable the process. And that's really the fundamental basis of our intent for our DIY tools, is we provide the key components, our clients provide the subject matter expertise on their bank, and together they develop a quality product, and in that process, hopefully saving thousands of dollars. And by the way, unlike other DIY tools where if you don't use that last screw, it doesn't work, our DIY tools are set up so that you pick and choose what you want to use. You can use all of it, some of it. You want to make sure it custom fits your needs. As far as our plans go, we mentioned operating plans, capital plans. We have a lot of DIY plans set up for you. Strategy, capital, sales and marketing, regulatory response, and you can see the list. For the purposes of time and certainly respecting your time, we're going to use our strategic planning kit as an example of how these DIY tools can support your effort. So let's get started. Our strategy program consists of what we believe to be all the necessary parts to develop a sound and strong plan. It actually has 6 elements to it. It includes a Word document template, which you're seeing some captured images of right now. It includes a custom PowerPoint, a proposed process and agenda, a what-if tool or a scenario planning tool, and a professional coach to support your efforts. So let's take a look at the plan. I'm kind of the type of executive that says, hey, don't tell me how to make a watch, just tell me what time it is. And what you're seeing is the outcome of the process. And from our perspective, every good plan should contain certain things. It should certainly summarize your strategic thinking and analysis. It should state your mission and vision. It should define your assumptions and your strategic priorities. And through that, you can assess strategic alternatives, drive to defining your key metrics or your value drivers, and subsequently laying out your plans, goals, and objectives, and certainly end with a detailed action plan that reflects key goals, objectives, milestones, and accountability. So that larger image you see on the screen is basically the first page you would see once you opened up your plan template. We believe it's well structured, it's organized, and for anybody that cracks that plan, they're going to see that you've got a well thought out, disciplined approach to your plan. Little lower right hand screen there, you see that table document. That's the strategic action plan, and that basically lays out your goals, your objectives, who's accountable for what, key milestones, due dates, and a section for comments. And again, this is a Word document that you can customize, and some of those other pages are just samples of the content that are preloaded in the plan, and it is customized to your sector of the industry, your location, and your bank itself. So this is kind of summary of the plan. Let's take a look at what is there to help you get to that point. We mentioned earlier that you get a custom PowerPoint, and it'll include up to about 80 slides. And this is really all the necessary information you need to form good strategy. From an external trend standpoint, we include the economy data, which would include national, state, and local information. We include industry analysis. We provide regulatory climate information and capital markets, and those are detailed slides that you see some samples of there. From an internal standpoint, we lay out your 5-year performance and key performance categories, which would include earnings, asset quality, capital. What am I missing, Bob? Everything. It's got liquidity. Yeah, but anyway, an entire profile on your 5-year performance. In addition to that, we lay out peer and competitive analysis for you. We do a comprehensive assessment of your target markets and customers. We provide you with a SWOT tool, a section for strategic alternatives where you can evaluate the various options, be it organic growth, mergers and acquisitions, or yes, perhaps even exit. You get a what-if tool, and basically what this PowerPoint does is it takes you from analysis right on down to performance goals, objectives, and key metrics. As far as some additional tools that you get in the package, you can see an image there of an Excel spreadsheet. This is probably one of the more interesting tools because basically allows you with your management team or board to actually plug in key assumptions over a 5 to 6 year period, or at least the model goes out 6 years. You can do it for 2, 3, or whatever. But you can plug in growth assumptions, earnings assumptions, If you want to see what your multiple of book might be at any given time in the future, you can do multiple analysis. But it really allows you to run scenarios to really assess just where you're going and how you intend to get there. In addition to that, we provide you with a process map and tool that kind of says if you follow these steps from analysis, asking the right strategic questions, and forming the right course of action, this is an effective roadmap to get you where you want to go. And lastly, not wanting you to be going on it alone, we do provide you a professional coach that is there as a resource should you identify any hurdles that may impede your ability to move forward. As far as, okay, you've got all these components and all these pieces, well, how do they really come together and who's doing what? So you can kind of think of this as your IKEA user's guide. But in essence, this is what it breaks down to. This is what we do. We provide you with templates that allow you to cut and paste or work with or add or delete anything you want in your plan or your PowerPoint. We provide you a comprehensive suite of research that allows you to look at trend analysis and all the key areas that help you decide what the best course of action is for your bank. We provide you the process and the means to go through this in an efficient and effective manner. We provide you with models to do your analysis so it can be done quickly, easily, and quantitatively. And lastly, we provide you that coaching and support to make sure you're comfortable using the tools and you're getting where you want to go. What do you do in this process? Here's your toolkit. Ask the right strategic questions to form the right strategy. Develop your assumptions and priorities. Define your key metrics. Draft goals and objectives. And lastly, populate your template. We believe the outcomes are pretty clear. It's a proven process. And by the way, what we've basically done is digitize years worth of our professional service work into a suite of tools that our clients can use themselves. These processes work. You end up with a clearly defined course of action, certainly a professional and detailed plan suitable for any one of those stakeholders we talked about. And probably one point I'd like to make more than others is a foundation for continuous growth and improvement, both in terms of your planning process and execution of your plan. So in a nutshell, what you just looked at was our strategy tool. And these are the 6 items it includes, from the comprehensive plan template, the custom PowerPoint, proposed planning session agenda, evaluation and growth model. We highlighted our ability to support you through professional coaching and our strategic planning model. And usually at this time, and I'm having some questions coming through, is, so what does something like this cost? It's pretty straightforward. If you're a bank that's 0 to 250 million in assets, the price point for the entire kit is $2,495. If you're a bank from 250 to 500, it's $39.95, and if you're a bank from 500 to $1 billion, it is $49.95. And if you're over $1 billion, we do ask you to call for quote. And the reason for the tiered pricing just basically reflects with size comes a certain amount of complexity, and the level of detail in our work expands. So, you know, the question is, and it's a question we asked when we sent out the invitation to this session, is if you were to use this DIY tool in the development of your plan, be it a capital plan, a strategic plan, or whichever, can we look at this process and its output, and does your plan stand up to your regulatory requirements? We believe this planning process does. Will your board be satisfied with this? My answer is absolutely. Does it represent a body of work that you're proud of and proud to put your name on? We like to think so. And certainly, does your plan reflect how you will seize growth opportunities in a recovering economy and build a successful institution? We would answer that in the affirmative. So that's pretty much taken us through a pretty brief, and I think I've stuck to my 15 minutes. So at this point, if there are any questions that you might have about the tool or the product, we'd certainly entertain those. Okay. One question has just come through that's just asked, you know, how do these templates work and what's in it and what's not in it? Very simply is some aspects of the planning tool is pre-populated because it has to do with industry or trend analysis or performance analysis. So that's pretty much pre